In today's episode of Level Up, we're taking a look at the Ankerworks C310 4K UHD, that's right, ultra high definition webcam for just $99. That's right, I said 99 bucks. Got your attention? Let's check it out in today's episode of Level Up. It felt like almost a year and a half ago, we were in this golden era of entry-level budget microphones. Great quality, great price, and deals to be had everywhere, just flooding the market. And YouTube just went nuts. Content creators everywhere scrambling to get all of these microphones to take them for a test drive for you to see if this was the deal for you. Well, I feel like we're back there again, but this time it's not microphones, it's webcams. Unbelievable. This is the Ankerwork C310 4K webcam, and it's only $99. It caught my eye when I was a guest on someone else's podcast at Chad's Adventures. It's a great channel. I encourage you guys to check it out. But during his podcast, I just happened to notice this video quality, and he said he was using a webcam. I'm like, which one? It's the Ankerwork C310. How much you pay for that? 99 bucks. Yeah, that got my attention. So here we are. Here we go. Plugged into my M1 Mac Mini. See the app, it's up. We're going to get ready to get into it. But before I do, just want to say Ankerworks did not send this webcam out to me. I bought it with my money. Why? Well, you guys been asking for it. So let's get into it. This is the Ankerworks C310 4K, 30 frames per second. I like the detail. I like the accuracy as far as the colors in the blacks and all that stuff. As far as the face right off the bat, I feel like it's a little rosier, a little more pinkish in my face than I would like. But as far as the wood background and all the other colors, it seems to be doing really, really good. I did notice in 4K, it's not smooth as it is in 1080. You put it in 4K and it kind of lags and bogs it down just a little bit. And yeah, those are my first impressions. So let's get into the app and see what she can do. On the first tab right here, you see image. So it's AI focusing. Autofocus is turned on. So let's turn that off. And we can move this back and forth. And you can adjust it to be focused on what you want it to be. So if you're trying to do a microphone review and you want that microphone to be more in focus than your face, you can adjust that so it's not grabbing your face. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Not bad. All right, turn autofocus back on. Face focus. Let's turn this on. And I'm not really seeing much of a difference. So let's just do something for a test here. I'm going to go ahead and hold up the Ankerworks instruction manual because I haven't read it. Who reads instructions? Honestly, I did. But face focus, let's just see. Face focus here. In, out, in, out. How's it doing? All right, not bad. Turning face focus off. Let's see what the difference is. Face focus. Honestly feel like when you turn it off, it does a better job of staying on your face. So there we go. Face focus. Let's leave it off. Exposure smoothing. Clicking this on, it basically tells you that it'll autofocus the color, or it'll expose the shot that everybody's seeing based on what's inside that box. So if you put it over here on the yellow, it tones everything down quite a bit. If we put it on the box, you're seeing some white in there. If we put it in the blacks where it's dark, it's going to just completely erase me from the shot, as you see here. Back on my face. There we go. And back on my shirt. There we go. So exposure smoothing. Let's turn that off. Let's turn that off. Oh, yeah. See, everything calms right down when we turn that off. So it's a feature. Neat feature that you can tinker with, but I don't think it adds to the video quality. Auto exposure, it is on. Let's turn that off and see what we can do. So looking at the compensation, treat it like an ISO feature. With a mirrorless camera, my Sony ZV-E10, what I like to do is I bring it all the way down to 100 and then bring my lights up to match. So let's bring that all the way down and see how it handles the lights. And it kind of tones everything down a little bit, makes it a little too noisy in the darker areas. So let's just kind of bump it up a little bit at a time, see what it does. Not much change there, or not much change there. Bringing it back up. There's a jump. Yeah. little bit more there. All right. Okay, there we go. Face exposure. Let's turn that off. And wow. So when you turn that off, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do except go back to changing the auto exposure for the entire shot. So it's going to expose the entire frame, everything in it, and not just expose according to what's on your face. All right. Not bad there. All right. Leave it there. Leave it there. HDR, when you turn the HDR on, it kicks you out of 4K. So let's do it. Let's see what happens when we engage 4K or HDR. It says right there, HDR and 4K cannot be turned on at the same time. Turning on HDR will automatically adjust the resolution to 1080p. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, we do. Let's see what happens. All right, so now we're in 1080p and HDR is on, and that just looks like a hot mess. Let's turn the auto exposure back on, see if that makes a difference. Yikes. Yikes. No. Nope. Let's turn that off. And let's see. Let's go back into 4K. Going back to image. Let's go back to image and get back going. Turning the auto exposure back off. Back to where we started before we messed with HDR. Auto white balance is on. Let's turn it off. I keep forgetting which screen to click here. So we're turning that off, and here we go. And yikes. Yikes. It's a lot of yellow. And where's it at? What are we at? 5,000? Let's bring some more daylight in there. So this is daylight. And right now, my studio lights are all set in here to 5400K. So let's match. And I'm going to say this is not what I see in real life. There is a lot going on in here. Oh, this says advanced setup. What happens when we click basic? Our advanced setup is when we do red, greens, and blues. If you're worried about this kind of stuff, you're not getting a $99 webcam. So I kind of feel like this is a throw-in just to say, hey, we got some cool stuff. Most of us, and I mean most of us, go by the temperature, because that's what your lights say on their screen. It gives you the temperature of the lights in the room. You want to be able to match everything. So this is where everybody's going to be or most everybody, 99.99% of everybody's going to be. But 5400K, I'm just going to say this is not what real life is in this room right now. Well, let's see what happens in auto exposure now that we've got the white balance set. That's awful. That's awful. All right, let's turn that back off. Let's get back down here to brightness and saturation. Brightness, I think it's plenty bright. If anything, I may bring it down just a smidge. I feel like everything's really overworking right now. Most webcams that I use, I'm between 60 and 72. Never been higher than 72, so let's just see what 72 gives me. A lot more definition, but a little noisier. Just a smidge noisier. So let's go down to 60, which is what I use in some of my other webcams. I go 60, and I feel like that's a little better. 55. Saturation, I feel like we're hot as far as saturation, like we're oversaturated. So let's take some of this yellow out, this reddish yellow. Oh, what a difference. Oh, what a difference. We've toned everything down quite a bit, but maybe a little too much. Like there's no color in the wood or the lights behind me. So I feel like the wood area and my face is better. The yellow is better. The red is better, but I've lost some of that dynamic color in my pop filters. Mainly the pink, the purple, the blue, the orange all look pretty good. That pink is a little off. But you're not going to get perfection at $99 for a webcam. So I probably honestly think I would leave it here. If I bring it up just a little bit, I feel like I'm bringing more of a mess into my face. And I don't like it. The pink is more pink. I don't know. I think this webcam just performs better when you just ask it not to do. Yeah, see, that just calms me down. calms me down. So let's move it on. Contrast ratio. Let's just bring it down to here. See, oh, yeah, that's a little too much. This is like LA fog on the freeway or smog on the freeway. If you're living in LA, this is what life looks like. All right, so I'm gonna sit at 60. Let's go over here to video. This is field of view at the top, so you can change. Basically, that's your zoom. This is in the middle. This is the shot that I typically use when I'm doing YouTube reviews. You can go wider and capture more. So this is like a 16 millimeter Sigma lens right here. That's what you get. So that's 95 degrees, back to the normal 78, and then 65. Where would you use 65? Honestly, if you're doing a podcast with other people and you're going to be sharing a screen with 3 or 4 other faces, everything gets packed way down. So if you're trying to do a podcast and your face is this small in your frame and then it gets shrunk down even more, they're hardly going to be able to see your facial expression. So you want to be a tighter shot when you're doing podcasts with other people so they can see your face and not be shrunk down so much. Solo frame brings you in tight. And what does that do? It acts like a PTZ. So if you're moving around the screen, it'll just keep you in the shot. We're going to turn that off. Back to 78 degrees. Resolution, 360, 720, 1080, 4K. We've seen 1080 when we turned on HDR. Let's just jump down to 720 and see what it looks like in 720p. Not bad. 720, very happy. 1080p, when we got our settings dialed in the way we like it, or the way I like it, that's 1080p. This is basically if you're streaming. Some people stream in 4K. Overkill, honestly. A lot of stress on your computer, a lot of stress on you. Don't need it. 1080p is just fine for live streaming. Just saying. I stream in 1080p. I know Tom Buck streams in 1080p. A lot of people stream in 1080p. But hey, if you like 4K, you do you, boo. It's there. But this is basically your live stream image right here. And then 4K if you want. But you can see bumping it up to 4K with this webcam just makes it a little bumpy. So let's change our frames per second while we're doing this. Does that smooth it out? 4K? Oh, yeah. Okay. So 4K is doable on here. I was kind of thinking, man, I don't know if I would use 4K because it's a little too bumpy in here. But when you get down to 24 frames, which is cinematic, fast movements, it's gonna be, it's not gonna be crisp on your fast movements, but it's gonna make it smoother, more cinematic. So there you go. 30 frames per second is what I use on my other 4K webcams that I like, and they handle 30 frames per second just fine. But I'm just going to say right now, if you want to use this in 4K, you're going to have to change your workflow to 24K if you don't want that glitchy stuff. Let's just see what it looks like in 20 frames per second real quick. So 20 frames per second, I think we got some glitchiness back again. So yeah, 24. 24 is where we're staying at. Smoother in 4K. So there you go. Volume, sound. Should we test the microphone? Let's do it. Let's add the microphone so we can do a microphone test, see what it sounds like. So this is the audio test of the Ankerwork C310, the built-in microphones. And this is what it sounds like. This is 360. So apparently it does omnidirectional. So what if we just go ahead and ask it to pick up what's in front of it? Now we're in 90 degrees. Peter Piper, why am I doing a plosive test for a microphone that's 4 feet away? But anyways, if you want to use this for conference calling or work and you're not interested in carrying around an external mic, you just need to be heard, the Ankerworks has got you covered. This is the noise reduction on, noise reduction off. My ACs are on in the room. Let me know what you're hearing. Yes, I'm speaking into a microphone, but it's muted in OBS. You can't hear it, so I don't know why I'm doing it. But anyways, just because I'm used to it, I guess. All right, done with that. All right, back on the Vigu VM70 into my Rodecaster Duo. I love this microphone as a budget option to the Shure MV7. I love the look of it. It's the closest thing to an MV7 compared to the SL40 Fiduce and all that other stuff. Has that Sesame Street trash can look to it. This is smooth, round, nice looking, and sounds pretty good too. $50. $50 is what I paid for this. Can you believe it? Why am I whispering? I don't know. Flashing forward a couple of days, been tinkering around in the app, and I would just say this is pretty much what I've settled on. Final thoughts. It's a $99 webcam. We're not reinventing the wheel here. I feel like what I'm getting at that $99 price point, I'm very happy with. I'm very happy with this being a $99 webcam. If it was like $150, I'd be like, eh. But $100, I think this is a bargain, especially when you find it at that $15 off coupon on Amazon and get it for $85. Now you're kind of tinkering and talking about a steal at that price. So what I love about this webcam, I love its simplicity. I love its performance at $99. I love the price tag that comes with it. The con regarding this one, and I'm not going to put a whole bunch out there because, again, it's only $99. When I look at all the other webcams that are $99 and under, I don't feel like any of them come close to this. So this, to me, is in the forefront or at the forefront of that $99 price range and below. So with that being said, the only con is the app. I feel like the app makes dialing this webcam in harder than it needs to be. It can be simpler. The auto white balance, I feel like, is not accurate at all. So to negate the overexposure and the rosiness in my face, I turned auto exposure off and I slid it all the way down to -3, bumped up my lights in here. And then with the white balance, I left it at 4900K, which just is insane for me. I never have it at 4900K, but whatever this app says, okay, we'll run with it. Saturation, I brought it down 42 to tame those colors down. And sharpness, I actually brought it down to 40 because I feel like when you make it darker in the room, there's a lot of noise in my face. So again, to get your colors right, it introduces a whole nother set of problems. Now, I feel like these are all problems that go with darker rooms. When I go back and look at Chad's Adventures on his YouTube channel, he's got white walls, well-lit room, plenty of light in the room, and you're not asking it to do any kind of heavy labor, and it looks like a great image. It is a great image, especially for $99. So just take that into consideration if you're considering this webcam. What kind of room do you have? If it's a darker room with lots of lights, you're going to have to do a lot of work on your part, and the app is not going to make it easy on you. Who would I recommend this webcam for? I think this is a great webcam for Zoom calls. I've used it a couple times now on Zoom calls. It looks great on Zoom. Also, I think it's great as a live stream and a podcast webcam. If you want to start podcasting, you want to go full screen, this will do you just fine. As far as $99, I don't think anything comes close to this at this price range. But I think where it really starts to pick up that value is when you shrink it up. This is where I think that the value in that $99 price tag that comes with this really starts to shine. You're shrinking your box to fit everybody on screen. And when you start to shrink boxes, the gap between this webcam and a $300 webcam, the gap is greatly reduced. In fact, you might feel a whole lot better about spending $99 for your box than that person who spent $329 for an OBSBot Tiny 2 in their box, or someone who spent $3,000 or $2,000 for their mirrorless camera in that little box, especially when you start sharing a screen with 2 other people and you're shrinking these boxes up even more to fit 4 people on screen. That's where I think this is a great bargain. So just know what it is that you want to do with this webcam. Are you wanting to do live streams and podcasts and you're going to be sharing a screen with someone else? What a steal. If you want to do this full screen for just live streaming and Zoom calls, you got a great bargain and a good buy and a good investment for your money. If you're really going after a true 4K or at least a really high quality 4K webcam image, 4K in a webcam and 4K in a mirrorless camera or DSLR camera, they are 2 completely different monsters right there. Whole different ballpark. But for 4K webcams, if you're going for that premium image, I think in a dark room, it's really pushing it. But again, you've only paid $99 for this image. If you pair great audio with this image to get started in your YouTube channel and get comfortable in the space and get your feet under you, learning how to edit and learning how to manage your workflow and just creating and producing great content for your viewers, you're going to be just fine. So that's a wrap. This is the Ankerwork C310 at $99. Do I think it's worth that $99 price tag? Absolutely. Is it the best image out there? One of the top webcams? No. I still think you're talking in those $300 webcam price ranges, especially all by themselves full screen. The quality jumps up a little bit, but so does that price tag. You're going from $100 to $300. And for some people, depending on what it is you're trying to do, Zoom calls or just podcasting, that's too big of a jump. This one kind of meets you somewhere in the middle. Assess what your room is, what you need it for, and if this webcam can do it for you. Don't forget to hit that like button if you watch this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more, notification bell, all that stuff. And hey, if you want to help support this channel so I can continue to buy gear to review for you guys, take it out for a test drive, unbiased, honest reviews, hey, I appreciate the love and support. That's all I got. Until I see you guys in the next video, my name is Mike Newman, and I'm out.